guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my review of Subplots the Movie, otherwise known as Thor the Dark World. Yeah, we're at that point. Somebody on Twitter asked me why I was rewatching this, but those of you who've been with me for this whole playlist so far already know this, but I made a promise. I told all of you that I was going to review every single Marvel Studios film in the build-up to Black Widow and all these amazing projects on Disney+. And yeah, I'm a man who keeps his word. And in order to keep my word, there's certain sacrifices that I may or may not be willing to make. And in the case of my favorite character in this universe, lo and behold, I was willing to give this film another chance. But yeah, here we are. Thor the Dark World. This one was directed by Game of Thrones veteran Alan Taylor, and it once again stars Chris Hemsworth as the God of Thunder. And this film talks about how in ancient times, the gods of Asgard fought and won a war against an evil race known as the Dark Elves. The survivors were neutralized, and their ultimate weapon, the Ether, was buried in a secret location. Hundreds of years later, Jane Foster, played once again by Natalie Portman, finds the Ether and becomes its host. And that forces Thor, played once again by Hemsworth, to bring her to Asgard before the Dark Elf Malekith, played by Christopher Eccleston, captures her and uses the weapon to destroy the 9 realms, including Earth. So before I get into the blatantly obvious, what did I enjoy about Thor the Dark World? Well, Chris Hemsworth is Thor for one. I mean, this guy just oozes charisma, and you know that macho sense of right and wrong that Thor has? Chris Hemsworth really gets it. And also Tom Hiddleston, who I didn't even mention in that synopsis. Once again, awesome as Loki. And this is a mild/moderate spoiler, but the big angle they're running with Thor the Dark World is that Thor and Loki kind of have to reluctantly form this tag team. And this is all in order to take Malekith and his forces down. And let me just say, their dynamic is so damn good. Their banter, really great. And there's one scene in here, which I actually won't spoil, where Thor and Loki are walking down a hallway, and Loki is transforming into these various characters. And there is one cameo from a really famous Avenger that I actually won't spoil for you, because I actually forgot that this happened. Because I died laughing. It was too perfect. If there was any one Avenger that Loki would try to impersonate, the actor that makes a cameo here does it really well. Speaking of laughing, Darcy, played by Kat Dennings. I mean, this may be recency bias from WandaVision, I don't know, but this may be an unpopular opinion, but I like Darcy. I think she's funny. Some people might think she's annoying, but it. We also have Anthony Hopkins once again as Odin, bringing a lot of star power to the table. Idris Elba does get a lot more screen time as Heimdall. That was one of my main issues with the first Thor film. I also really respect how big this movie feels. The scope of this movie is absolutely gigantic. Alan Taylor really does offer a lot to these action scenes, and they're pretty badass. I will say though, I do wish the movie was a lot more colorful than it was. The subtitle is The Dark World, and I feel like this design took that statement literally. I've also got to mention one other thing before I get into my big issue with this film. The villain of this film, Malekith, played by Doctor Who alum Christopher Eccleston, fantastic performer, but this was easily one of the most forgettable villains in the MCU canon. Like, I did not remember a thing about this guy. And then I rewatched him, and I thought his design was boring. His dialogue was boring. His motivation was boring. Eccleston did all he could to salvage it, but I just really wasn't all that invested, sadly. And yeah, okay, here's my big thing with Thor the Dark World. Alan Taylor's expertise in the entertainment realm, I feel like, is in more this medieval style. This really does feel like his comfort zone, and I really do respect what he brings to the table with this film, but this movie feels so eerily similar to Game of Thrones. Like, imagine a whole season of that television masterpiece condensed down to under 2 hours. And it only has, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 interesting characters as opposed to 20 or 30. In a sense, guys, this to me felt like Marvel's blatant answer to Game of Thrones, which, keep in mind, was extremely popular when this came out in 2013. Only, you know, Game of Thrones is actually investing. I really feel like I'd rather be watching Game of Thrones than Thor the Dark World any day of the week, because whereas Game of Thrones is very meticulous in its storytelling, Thor the Dark World is incredibly scatterbrained. I mean, it does feel like the story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, but there's just way too many moving pieces that sort of get linked together. The script really does try its best to link all these messy elements together. Thor comes in every once in a while to link all these storylines, but it's still way way more complicated than it needs to be in my eyes. And there's a lot of elements, like, yeah, okay, the Jane Foster stuff, and even some stuff with Darcy. All this malarkey on Earth just feels like it's so out of place with everything else. And I'm perfectly aware that Jane Foster's presence is important to establish how powerful the ether is. I'm pretty sure this will also play into her appearance on Thor Love and Thunder, but I don't know, man. Natalie Portman's fine. She's really, you know, she's doing all she can with this role. I just wish, like, this is another problem I had with the first Thor film. I just wish all of this stuff was on Asgard. None of this bullshit on Earth was needed. I mean, if anything, for this film, I wanted more Thor and Loki. That stuff is awesome. Thankfully, this is an issue that Taika Waititi would fix in another film that, yep, we'll certainly talk about. But for my favorite character in this universe, and for all the cool stuff that the movie was trying to do, and all that work only to lead to this being one of the weakest films in the universe, I'm speechless. I'm utterly speechless at how uninteresting this was, even on a rewatch. I'm gonna give Thor the Dark World a C. Yeah, if I'm looking to rewatch an MCU film, this is not one I tend to gravitate towards often. And I really don't see that changing anytime soon. There are certainly better Thor movies out there. And we'll talk about one of them in Ragnarok in another video down the line on this playlist. But have you guys seen Thor the Dark World? Do you agree with me? Do you not? What is your least favorite film with the Marvel label up to this point? I would absolutely love to discuss all of these thoughts all down there in the comments below. If you guys are enjoying this content, and if you guys are looking for a place to continue discussing cinema and all things entertainment, all things Marvel, I think this channel might be the one for you. So if you guys are new here, or if you haven't already, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can. You beautiful subscribers will in fact be the first ones to know anytime a new upload hits the channel over here, and don't tell anybody this, but it's also free. And if you liked the video, also, please be sure to leave a thumbs up on your way out. It would really help out the channel. It would help you guys out. As per, guys, look out for more exciting content hitting this channel very, very soon, including the next entry into this playlist. And I'm super excited to bring you my review of Captain America: The Winter Soldier very, very soon, because this, I think, is where the MCU really picks up in quality. You guys are the best. Thank you all so much for tuning in and for your continued support of the channel. With all that being said, Back Talk, commence.